All right, welcome back, everyone. Final presentation, final session, final day. Our last presentation is Lauren Voelker from ESRI, ArcGIS Field Maps, one app to rule them all. Lauren joined ESRI's St. Louis office in 2018 as a solution engineer for the local government and land records team. Prior, she worked in county government supporting a wide array of industries from land administration to public safety. She holds an MS in geography with a focus in GIS and geomorphology. Before that, she worked as an archaeologist at Cahokia Mounds Historic Site in Southern Illinois.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Can you see my screen okay? I know we just tested this, but wanted to make sure.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, hello, everybody. Last session of the conference. Thank you so much for sticking around and for joining us today. Today, we're going to go over an introduction of ArcGIS Field Maps. And for those of you who don't know me, as we said, my name is Lauren Voelker. I am a local government solution engineer with Esri out of our St. Louis regional office. So let's go ahead and get started. So what I thought I would do to kick things off to give you a bit of strategy information, where we are today, where we're heading regarding field operations. And then we'll dive into field maps, where things are currently. We'll show a couple of demo videos, and then we'll round it out with what's on our roadmap ahead. So if you've been using Esri apps, you know that we've been building out this suite of very focused applications. And these apps cover all different aspects of field ops, from coordination to planning, navigating turn-by-turn directions, read-only understanding with Explorer, and then field data capture. So back in 2014, we started building ArcGIS Collector, and it quickly became the foundation of our field operations initiative. As more customers began adopting field apps in their organizations and adopting WebGIS as a whole, we started adding more and more capabilities, things like Survey 123, Quick Capture, Workforce, the list goes on. And we followed this path that was set forth by Apple and Google and building these really focused applications for each activity and capability. Now, all the apps that you see here are built from our core ArcGIS Runtime SDK, and they've actually become the foundation of our field app story today. However, through communication with our customers, we actually found out that this multi-app strategy, even while being recommended, had made some workflows of our customers a little bit too cumbersome. So older organizations found that deploying multiple applications to complete a workflow really wasn't ideal. They had to link between, the workforce to assign a task and then on to Collector to collect the data. And sometimes this even required downloading multiple instances of data onto devices for offline workflows. It required downloading each app from the store, signing into each app, linking them together, and so on. You get the drift here. So we started shifting our focus into building ArcGIS Field Maps. So where ArcGIS Field Maps would be one application you can use to complete all of these different activities. And we've started down that path. We've included a number of these capabilities that we'll talk about in more detail later in the presentation. But I wanted to also highlight that even though we're building out this one app solution to accomplish each of these tasks, Esri will continue to build those very focused apps as well. And you can think about Survey 123 as one of those very focused apps that it takes a very form-centric approach to data collection. So similarly, ArcGIS Quick Capture provides an on-the-go rapid data collection platform with a very simple big button experience. And some of the other apps that you may or may not have heard of before include things like ArcGIS Mission Responder, Indoors, and Earth. And each of these apps have very specific capabilities that we'll continue to expand upon as focused apps, not included as a part of the field maps consolidation. So where are we today? We actually pulled together and released ArcGIS Field Maps pretty quickly over the course of 2020. And in the last update to ArcGIS Online, we brought together the capabilities of ArcGIS Explorer, Collector, and ArcGIS Tracker. So in this one solution today, you can support your map viewing needs with the map markup capabilities that were inherently in ArcGIS Explorer, the high accuracy data collection capabilities that were a part of ArcGIS Collector, and the transaction models within Esri to do inspection workflows. And leveraging the work you put into designing your geodatabases. And then we also brought in those location tracking capabilities so that you can, in one application, you can view maps, you can record locations, broadcast your current status, collect data, and do those inspection workflows. But there's more to it than that. As a part of the solution with ArcGIS Field Maps, we added a new back office web application. And that web application is really designed for the GIS professional that needs to rapidly configure and deploy maps for any one of those different activities, and including offline capabilities. So you could kind of troubleshoot whether or not your maps are ready to take offline into the field. And you can directly do things like enabling offline mode on the map or enable sync on the feature services that are part of the layers in that map. Diagnosing if you're using a base map that doesn't necessarily support generating offline areas, that sort of thing. It's also the way you can configure layers for data collection. So whether it be the feature templates you use to collect new information or the new forms capabilities that we've introduced. And as we move forward, this will continue to grow significantly in capabilities. And we'll be adding ArcGIS workforce capabilities as well, so you can receive and complete work in your mobile app, dispatch, manage work, assignments, all through this web application as well. So when it comes to map viewing and map markup capabilities, there's a couple things that I wanted to highlight. Field Maps, just like other Esri apps, is powered by an underlying runtime engine, and we've updated Field Maps to the latest version of that engine. With that update also comes a lot of new capabilities, things like advanced symbology functionality using archaic expression languages for labeling and symbology, not just in the map viewing portion of this, but also in your pop-ups, which is actually quite powerful because of the things that you can do with things like feature sets. And if you're new to Arcade and a GIS professional, I highly recommend that you spend some time understanding and learning it, because it's a very powerful language, not just for field maps, but throughout the platform as well, for you to use and to leverage when making maps and using them in the field. It supports the concept of group layers. So if you have a lot of content inside your maps, you can quickly turn on and off groups of layers within the map using that concept. It also has all of the map tools that were part of Explorer and Collector, including, if you haven't already seen it, a compass tool. So if you think about this compass tool paired with a Trimble R2, for example, you could use the compass to navigate to the location of an asset that might be buried or hidden to get precision location directions. The markup capabilities, if you're coming from Collector, this might all be new to you, but using those markup tools, you can draw graphics on top of your map. It may be a marker or a note. You can freehand sketch lines and areas, and it will actually recognize shapes like rectangles and circles. And you can take that markup and share it peer-to-peer with a screenshot via AirDrop, for example, or the markup itself as a graphic, either in email or text message, so that others can leverage that markup as well and see it on their maps. There's also an option, if you have the proper sharing privileges, you can share it back to your organization as a feature layer inside of ArcGIS to use as well. So when it comes to high accuracy data collection, I think the most fundamental thing to mention here is that ArcGIS Field Map comes with all of those capabilities that ArcGIS Collector came with. And just know that there is a lot of solutions that we provide around high accuracy data collection and many key partners in which we can leverage the enhanced accuracy of their products. Now, this is to say, if you've never used Collector before, some or all of this still may be new, but we can capture things like orthometric heights, store them as elevation values and the geometry of the feature you're creating. We provide GPS and averaging solution in the app setting as well, so that you can turn on confidence levels. And there's also a GPS bar in the app showing the details of the accuracies, which is pretty nice. So now I'd like to show you a quick demo from Eric Wagner, one of the solution engineers on the water team, using field maps and an external GNSS receiver to do some high accuracy data collection. Then taking that data back to the office and displaying the information in a dashboard to help the organization deal with day-to-day events.
Hi, my name is Eric Wagner, and I'm a solution engineer on the water utilities team. Efficiency and accuracy are critical to effectively coordinating operations at utilities every day. To do this, you're probably using many of our current apps, like ArcGIS Quick Capture, Survey 123, and more to complete your work in the field. But you've asked us to combine many of these great apps into one. So in addition to those other apps you already use, I want to introduce Esri's newest mobile app, ArcGIS Field Maps. In its first release, it will combine the editing capabilities of Collector with the viewing and location tracking functions of Explorer and Tracker. Today I'm at a construction site doing some asset collection. Let's see how field maps can help me get my work done. Viewing and understanding the specific details about all of your utilities assets is critical to daily operations. For example, I can look up additional information about this valve at the end of the street. I can also take a look into its historic maintenance records as well, and in particular, see the work that was done last January. Field Maps also allows for the use of high accuracy GNSS receivers to collect newly installed assets, like this valve. With 2 taps, the location is recorded. Now information about the valve needs to be entered. Field Maps allows collected asset information to be placed into logical groups to simplify data entry. When combined with default values and drop-down lists, data collection is faster and easier. I'll set this valve type to gate and submit this feature. Snapping also ensures the proper placement of new features that I need to collect as well. I'll add a main segment to connect this newly collected valve to the other valve at the end of the street. Now I need to record some information about it. One of the exciting new features about Field Maps is the addition of smart forms. This functionality only shows fields that need to be completed for this new feature based on my inputs. Right now, I can only see general details, but when I set the main type to distribution main, an entire section with additional fields is now visible and already filled in with default values. Time is saved when I only see the appropriate fields as I collect data. Existing assets can be updated as well, and smart forms can make this process more accurate too. The yellow valve at the end of the street needs to have its status updated from open to closed due to construction in the area. I can tap on this valve, select it, and begin editing it to change its present status from open to close, and I'll see that a new notes field is now present to me. I can even fill this out using voice recognition software. Valve closed due to ongoing construction. And I'll submit these changes. The valve is now red for others to see that it's been closed, and the notes are there to explain to others why the status has been changed. I can also share information using markups. Notes can be added to the map for others to understand conditions on the job site. Due to active construction on the houses behind me, I can't GPS newly installed water laterals. So here, I'll add a markup to this location, and I'll add a note to it saying that construction is in progress and submitted. As you've seen, Field Maps allows data to be viewed and collected in the field. but it also lets users share their locations with managers throughout the day to improve coordination between field crews. I can turn on Tracker by tapping on the top of the screen and flipping the switch next to Track My Location. And if I want to see those tracks from throughout the day, I can turn this layer on in the map as well. ArcGIS Field Maps allowed me to more efficiently and accurately view, collect, and share data, all from one application. But what does it look like to coordinate an entire team of field workers? Let's go back into the office and take a look. No matter which apps you use out in the field, your crews and assets can be visualized in an ArcGIS dashboard. This increases coordination at organizations of any size through a common operating picture. Dashboards allow managers to make informed decisions with real-time data. Here, I can see information about my assets, field crews, and open work orders. Scrolling through my list, I can see we have a main break, which requires an immediate response. Since I know the locations of all of my field crews, I'm able to determine who's closest to this incident. And it's Jay, who's about a mile away, so I'll reach out to him first. And if additional support is needed, I see that I can reach out to Matt as well. As this situation unfolds, understanding all of my nearby assets, such as service connections or fire hydrants, begins to paint a valuable picture of what might be impacted when this leak is isolated. You don't get to choose when emergencies happen, but by having the right technology in the field and in the office allows you to respond with coordinated operations with time and efficiency.
So that demo branched out a little bit from Field Maps to encompass one of our favorite apps in St. Louis, is the ArcGIS Dashboards app. And dashboards really help organizations gain valuable situational intelligence. So if you or your organization, you guys want to know more about dashboards, please don't hesitate to reach out. Using ArcGIS Field Maps web app, you can configure and manage the types of features that can be created in the Field Maps mobile app. So effectively, this becomes your data dictionary when you're creating new types of features. It transforms the mobile app from a GIS feature creation app to a damage assessment application or a sign inventory app. And in the web app, you can order the list of your feature templates so that the most used are on top of your list and easily accessible when you're creating new features. You can change the name of the template so it's easier for individuals in the field to understand. Apply default attribute values like we saw in the demo for each template and minimize the amount of information that needs to be manually filled out in the form. You can delete existing templates you no longer need, or you can even duplicate and configure more existing templates. So now I want to talk about smart forms for a second. And what's really exciting about the smart form capabilities is that they're actually coming to the ArcGIS platform. And Field Maps is really the tip of the iceberg. And we're driving the work that's happening in ArcGIS Field Maps into the rest of the platform. So with the apps that you use today, the pop-up defines the editing behavior of the application. So whether that be an ArcGIS viewer or collector, however, we're adding a new feature form capability to the web map. And what this does is it actually overrides the capabilities of the pop-up to include logic that's designed to improve collection and editing workflows in the field. The release last fall in December of these new form capabilities, included, groups. So some layers have lots of attributes that can make filling out forms challenging, so you can organize those. We also provided conditional visibility. So some attributes are dependent on others, and if that condition is met, and also added a capability for required fields. And this has always been kind of challenging with ArcGIS. So we're actually adding additional logic to the form definition that lets you determine when and why a form field is required. It has a designer experience in the web app and is really just the first release. So we've got aggressive plans to build in much more functionality into smart forms in subsequent releases. And as mentioned earlier, these forms will not only appear in field maps, but in other areas of the platform, as well as in the new map viewer, web editing apps, and eventually ArcGIS Pro. And with all of this said, you might actually be wondering about Survey 123, right? Survey 123 is our form-centric data collection application, but it embraces an open standard called XLS forms. And it has its own set of rich capabilities that may or may not be possible within the ArcGIS implementation of smart forms moving forward. But we're going to continue to grow the form capabilities of Survey 123 over time. And I definitely, if you still need that focused form first approach to data collection, Survey 123 is always going to be that right solution for you. So the ArcGIS Field Maps web app brings together all of the settings and capabilities for managing offline map areas. And without field maps, you need to traverse multiple locations of the home app to configure those offline capabilities. Sync is on the item details setting for each feature layer, and offline settings for the map are in the web map item details. And bringing those offline capabilities together in one place in the Field Maps web application, you now only have one location to go to for the management of those offline settings, which is really nice. It makes it much more streamlined. So now let's take a look at a little demo video of the web application.
ArcGIS Field Maps includes a new web application you can use to rapidly configure and deploy your maps to mobile workers. It's integrated into ArcGIS Online and will be available right here through the app launcher. Let's open it up and take a look. Here on the home page, you're going to get a list of your maps so that you can configure some of their properties. You could also create a new map directly here in the home app. If I hover over the map card, I can edit its sharing permissions. I could delete that map, or I can go and configure more of its properties. If I click the edit button in the overview tab, I could change the name of the map, the summary, even the thumbnail that's associated with that map. The overview tab also provides me with some meaningful information like the offline status of this map, which is currently disabled, and whether it's been shared with a group for my field workers, which it's not been shared. So let's take a look at the other properties. Let's open up the Layers tab. And in the Layers tab, we get access to all of the map layers that are in this web map. If I expand out the editable layers, here we can look at our hazards, map layer, and directly access the templates that are a part of this layer. The feature templates are really the types of features that you can create inside of the mobile application. And in this hazards layer, what I want to do, I'm going to take this dissatisfied customer template. I'm going to drag it up so it's a little higher in our template list, drop it, and then configure some of its properties. You can see on the right-hand side here, the display name for it. I can expand out the default values. For dissatisfied customers, we might want to change some of the special instructions to include contacting dispatch and setting a priority of high for that. Something else we can do here in the templates list for a feature template is I can duplicate it. So I can create a new template into this same type and use that to represent our satisfied customer. And here, we don't have to contact dispatch for it. Really, no priority to that whatsoever. Then I can save my templates, and that's modified directly into the layer for the next time that I want to use this map. Also here in the Layers tab is where you'll be able to access the form properties and set, that look and feel of what the form is going to look like inside the mobile application, with defining groups, being able to add conditional logic, sort and order those fields, and all the wonderful new features that are coming there. Let's move over to the offline tab. And here in the offline tab, we can look at the properties of this map as they relate to taking the map offline. And you can see we already have some issues. There's an editable layer in this map, the hazards layer we've been working with already, that doesn't have sync enabled. Right now, what I'd have to do, I'd have to go to the item details into the settings portion of it and turn on the sync. But here inside of the web application, I can directly enable sync on that layer, which really simplifies my workflow. Likewise, I can look at all of the reference layers that are part of this map. I can open up the base map, notice that it's the world street map, the nighttime street map. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the web map directly with the embedded map viewer. And right here, as the map opens up, I can go and change the base map from this nighttime map to our nice vector navigation map. I'm going to close that, save the map. And now it's really ready for me to enable offline mode. I don't have to go do that inside of the web application, the ArcGIS Viewer web application. I can do it right here inside of the Field Maps app. With offline mode enabled, I could then open up the predefined map areas user experience that's really right now in the settings of the web map item details, and I can create new offline areas that include the regions that my field workers need to operate in. I could modify the properties of how features and attachments are delivered in the application, both for the editable layers as well as the read-only layers. And right here, I could provide details to a tile package that I might want to sideload to the mobile device for offline map use as well. So you can see how I've got a lot of access inside of these different tabs directly letting me modify properties of the web map. Last thing I want to do, I'm going to move over to the sharing tab. This is opening up the sharing dialog that you use all the time inside of ArcGIS Online. And it's letting me edit the group sharing properties for this map and accompanying layers. So we'll share this into our residential service inspection group, hit OK, save it. And it makes that web map now available for my field workers to directly open up on their mobile device. So you can see how the Field Maps web application brings together all those common properties, lets you quickly assemble and configure maps, both for data collection workflows, but also for those simple map query and offline visualization workflows as well.
Awesome. So I know that we're getting down to the wire here. There's only a couple minutes left, but I really hope that that was helpful in understanding more about, the web app backend. And before we close out here and hopefully get to roadmap, I just want to touch base on mobile device management. If you're not using an MDM, you might want to consider it. It's a great way to manage large quantity of devices. And we've been adding this concept of configuration keywords. So say, for example, in your ArcGIS Enterprise, one of the first things you have to do is sign in, right? And this requires users to type in the URL of that portal. And let's be honest, users are going to get this wrong like 98% of the time. So you can actually use an app config key word that will push to those devices directly through the MDM, so that the end users don't have to figure it out. And it can take them straight to the login, username and password. And likewise, if everything is behind your firewall with an MDM and you have support for that app level VPN, so you don't have to log in with some separate VPN software every time. And it can all be handled in the app. So with that, let's go ahead. Let's finish up with roadmap. There are a ton of exciting things coming down the pipe. Lots of work around SmartForm, like auto calculations. We're bringing work management capabilities in with ArcGIS Workforce. Utility networks, tracing, outage management capabilities are all coming. We're furthering our indoor search and editing capabilities. We have webhook integrations, and it was actually just announced last week, I believe, and we now have a connector for Integramat for webhooks. We're working on push notifications, and interestingly, we're working on CarPlay support and Apple Watch support. So that was a ton of information to cover in just 30 minutes, but I want you to know, that we are here to support you. John Borisenko and Marcus Kitchens and Jean Jeanette are the account managers for local gov in Kentucky. Jessica Spain is your state government account manager. Myself and Chase Fisher are solution engineers for local government. And we also have two very wonderful state solution engineers, Nicole and Scott. We're all based out of St. Louis, and we're all here to help. So please don't hesitate. Our mission is to help you succeed with your GIS endeavors. I know that we are out of time, but I would like to see if anybody has any questions. If people need to drop, my email is on the screen. Please feel free to reach out to me. If I can't answer your question, we'll find somebody who can. That's really how we work, and we all like to work together pretty well. So thank you so much for your time today. I do really appreciate it.
Lauren, we've already got one question. I don't know if you're looking at chat, but the question is, what would happen if offline mode is not enabled and the device lost access to the internet in the field?
Yeah, then you wouldn't be able to submit data editing, data collection points, any markup or like that back to the web services. What it would do is it would cache on that device. And then when the device reconnects either to a cellular system or, some kind of Wi-Fi that had the device had credentials to connect to, then those submissions would be uploaded back to the WebGIS service.
Next question is a tablet version of the app designed differently than that of the smartphone?
Nope, it's going to be exactly the same. And I thank you for bringing that up. I think it is important to mention, and I forgot to mention it during the presentation, Field Maps is optimized to work at iOS 13.5 and later, and Android 8 and later. Currently, there is not a Field Maps application for Windows devices, and I'm not sure if that's coming or not. So say if your org uses like Surface Pros or something, you're not going to be able to leverage Field Maps. But don't worry, you'll still be able to leverage, Collector, Explorer, and all of those individual applications as well. But no, the end user experience should feel exactly the same. The only thing difference is going to be, it's going to be real nice to have that screen, a little bit larger of a screen. You're welcome.
Another question. Oh, did you see that?
I did see that one come in. That one from Jacob Wallace. Yeah. Yes, I can. Jacob, why don't you get my email address, or if you can put your email address in there, and I can hook you up and I can send you some info on the MDM deployments. Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, we're about 5 minutes over, but this was obviously a great presentation. It generated a lot of good questions, a lot of discussion, and honestly, I'm not sure how we didn't give you an hour, but easily could have supported an hour on this presentation. Want to thank everyone for attending. Attendance actually picked up throughout the course of this entire hour, so that was very encouraging. People definitely hung around and stayed engaged with the conference. Just a reminder that we are going to wrap up with closing remarks at 4:30. Same Zoom link you've been using all conference, and thank you everyone for your attendance and questions, and to our presenters as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, Lewis. Going to close this room, and the close up session is in the agenda. Thanks, everyone.